Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how you can fix your Steam games. Now it doesn't matter what the issue is, whether it's not launching, it's crashing on you, it's got some bugs in it. I'm going to try and guide you through all of the steps, all the possible steps to try and fix that issue. Now if you don't want to listen to me or you just want to go through them really quickly, click on screen now or in the description will be the first link, and you go to my website. I've got all this written out with updated information as well as a few extra tips if I've added them. Okay, so let's go on to the first tip. All we need to do is open up Steam and right click on our game in our library, then just go to Properties, Local Files, and press Verify the integrity of the game files. Now what this will do is take a variable amount of time based on the amount of files in the game. So for a large game this may take up to an hour, and while that's happening you won't be able to click around or use any of the menus, so just be wary of that. But for a smaller game like this, it was really quick. Now we'll just check that you have all the right files, and if you don't, it'll go and re-download them. So right now, nothing's downloading, so I wasn't missing anything. Now it sounds really comical, but if you haven't already, just go and add this to your watch later and go and restart or log out and log back into your computer. Just go do it, particularly if you just installed the game. Alright, now next up is updating our video drivers. Now, if you don't know if you have Intel, AMD or NVIDIA graphics hardware on your computer, then I'll leave a link in the description as well as some additional information on my website on how you can go and figure it out. But I'm going to assume that you do know, and let's go get started. So all I want you to go and Google search is your hardware manufacturer for your graphics. So for me it would be AMD, and then drivers, and then just go and download them. Now the same thing will happen with NVIDIA as well as Intel, and you just follow the on-screen instructions to go and get the most recent drivers. Now with that we also occasionally need to roll back our drivers. Now if you update your graphics drivers then all of a sudden your game's not working, then this is definitely what you might want to try and do. So for that just go and search how to roll back say NVIDIA drivers, and then just follow the links in here and these steps to go and roll back those drivers to an earlier version and then see if it works. Okay, now the next thing that Valve recommends that you do is if you have any anti-malware or antivirus applications when you're on a computer, just turn off any scans which are running in the background, as well as any active scanning which is running in the background. So in Malwarebytes, that's right here, you just have to go and turn that off. Which I'm not going to do now, but just go and do that, then try and launch your game, see if it works. Okay, now on top of that there's also a whole big list of software which Valve recommends that you don't have running in the background while you're trying to launch your games, and for some of them it also recommends you uninstall them if disabling them doesn't work. So I have listed these on my website, they're no longer actually up there on the Valve website, so I've got a copy on mine. So they have a few main categories: antivirus applications, as I mentioned earlier, anti-spyware applications, and then firewall and security applications. So I'll leave this open for you for a second, but I recommend you go to my website and check in details, check if you have any of these, and disable them. And they also have a whole bunch of other software here. So if you have any of these, go and disable them. Or just temporarily just end the processes. And if they have an asterisk next to them, like this one does, then that means that Valve recommends that you actually uninstall them, or try uninstalling them before launching your game. So what we're going to try and do is run our games as administrator. Sometimes Steam games just don't have the permissions that they need to open and access everything they need to, so what we're going to do is make sure that that's not the issue. So just as we did earlier, right click Properties and head to Local Files, but this time we're going to go to Browse Local Files, and in here you should see your game and then .exe, and just click on that, then go to right click, and we want to head to the compatibility tab, and from here we just want to press run this program as administrator, then apply, and then OK, and then try and run the game. On top of that, I also recommend that you run this compatibility troubleshooter up here. It'll take you through a multi-step process, particularly with older games, to see if you can get them working. Okay, so next thing which we want to try and do is flush out all of our Steam settings. So I want you to go to Run, search for Run, or press Windows key and R. That will do exactly the same thing, so Windows key R. And what we want to do is just clear all the settings which Steam currently has. So we want to type this command. I'll leave it in the description. It's also on my website. So it is steam : //flushconfig. I'm not going to do this now. This will actually clear some of your settings. I believe most of them are non-personal, but just make sure you've got you'll be okay with losing your Steam categories and whatnot when you run this, because it will clear that. So if you've made to this point in the list, I think it's about time that you do this, but if it is an issue with Steam, this should hopefully fix it. So you just go and press OK, and we'll go and run something in the background, and it'll be okay. Okay, now if you unfortunately have an older computer, what we're going to do is go and check that your computer meets the minimum specifications for that game. So all you need to do is search up the game which you're trying to play, and then scroll down to the bottom, and it will give you some minimum PC requirements. So you can see them there right here. You just need to compare your PC specifications to this to check that what you have in your computer is sufficient. Now, also on my website, there's actually a small inbuilt thing which occasionally works, which you can do to automatically check if your PC has enough RAM and sufficient graphics to run it. So, but I'm not going to go through that now. And if you do want to go and do that, it's step 10 on my website. So just go and do that and run through the process, and it just tells you whether you meet them or not for any game. Now, if you're one of the few unfortunate souls to get to this point and I still haven't managed to fix your issue, I highly recommend that you go and Google exactly what it is. So for example, if you have Super Distro black screen, just go and Google Super Distro black screen and just see if it's a common issue, and go through any solutions which have been posted by others. But a really good place to go and find these solutions is on the side here in little discussions area. So you will just go to here, and then you just type in your issue. So for example, crash, and if you're crashing at the end of level 3, then maybe this thread will be able to help you, and then you can get some more information about that issue. So if it's not working, try and consult the community, because the next few steps are going to be a little bit more system-sided rather than game-sided. At this point, I also want to check whether you have anything else connected to your computer. For example, if you're not allowed to move around in your game, it's just keep you in one spot. Check if you have any other controllers attached, but ultimately just check every USB port, detach everything apart from your keyboard and your mouse, and then try and launch the game and see if any of those things are interfering. Now, another method which will occasionally work for us is to try and use the game beta. So I'm going to find a game here which I know has a beta. So what we need to do is do the same thing as we did for the last few ones, and right click and go to properties, and then go to betas, and then just drop down, select the beta, then close, and then just go play. Now, next thing which you want to try and do is probably just try and reinstall the game. Really, if it's small or if your internet speed is fast, then why not? The really easy way to do that is just to right click on it, and then go to uninstall, and then just reinstall the game, just re-download it. It's going to take a little while, but at this point we're getting a little bit desperate, so let's just go and do that. Now, but before you go and do that, check my website, because there are some more steps to doing that which may be more effective for you. However, you will lose most of the time any save games which you have which aren't synced to your cloud. For example, in Prison Architect, there's actually a saves folder which is holding all of your prisons. So if you do use this method, you'll lose all of those for sure, as well as any mods which you have. But effectively what that involves is actually right clicking on it as we did before, going to properties, local files, browser local files, and then deleting everything in here, and then uninstalling. And that is kind of a full uninstall, which might be more effective for you. But yeah, just be aware of the two different options there, and pick one of the ways which you want to go and uninstall. And if one doesn't work, go and do the other. Okay, now beforehand we actually turned off our antivirus, but obviously you should turn that back on. But what we actually want to try and do is just search for any malware which is on our computer. So using any anti-malware application which you do have, go and run a scan. And if you don't have any on your computer, I recommend downloading Malwarebytes. It's completely free, it won't bug you, and you can just go and scan to see if anything's wrong. Now, You guys won't be able to see this, but next thing which we actually want to try and do is open CMD to try and run an integrity scan on our system. So this will work on Windows 7, 8 and 10 from what I know. So type in CMD on the search bar, right click and then go to run as administrator, and it will open this up. And from here all you need to do is type in sfc / with no spaces scan now, and then just go and press enter. Now this usually takes about 20 minutes. Just like validating the files of our Steam game by going and checking with what Valve has, it does exactly the same thing for your computer and make sure that nothing's corrupted or missing. And I have actually had this work before, and for a minority of cases it's because something is wrong with your computer that the game's not starting, and this will try and identify that problem. Now another one of the fixes, if your game used to work in the past but just isn't anymore, is because of a Windows update. So what we can try and do is on Windows 10 you need to search for view Windows updates. So I'm going to go and get that open, and then you go view installed update history and it'll open this up. Now from here we can go to uninstall updates and scroll down, and here we get to the Microsoft Windows update. So we can try and uninstall some of these, and then you'd have to go and reinstall them afterwards, but at this point we're really getting to try and fix an internal system problem. Next couple that I have for you are really just going to apply particularly for older games which just aren't working on any modern systems. So what you need to do is press Control Shift Escape to open your task manager, and you may need to go to more details, but head to details over here on the tab and scroll down until you find steam.exe, right click, then go to set affinity. Now some games, older games, just aren't programmed for multiple cores, so what we want to go and do is just go and disable those, then go and press OK, and then try and launch it. Now if it doesn't work, still, make sure you go back and you re-enable those cores. Because although it will reset, if you're someone who doesn't restart their computer, then it'll stay only on one core and you'll get some reduced performance on your other games. Next thing which we want to try and do is fix our sound. So if we just go and search for sound on Windows here, and then we scroll down under playback and find the device which we're using, right click, go to properties, advanced, and then press the lowest frequency one here, then apply OK, and then try and launch a game. It may work because sometimes games won't launch without the correct audio settings because they're not programmed for them. Now if it doesn't work or you're done playing, make sure you go back to the one which you were on previously, otherwise you might get some nasty side effects there. Okay, now if you've gone to this point, it's basically over, but what I'd recommend you do is a couple of things. One is you try to submit your own post on the Steam discussions area, which I was showing you earlier, just under here, about the issue that you have, and try and contact the developer about the issue. Sometimes there's also developer forums where you can submit a bug report with the problem you're having. And if it's really bad and you can't launch any of your games and it seems like it's not really an individual thing, you may want to try resetting your computer. In Windows 10, if you just type in restore, you'll get this window, and from here you can reset or go back to a restart point, which may help it. So again, if you made it here, I apologize, but I hope that one of these helps you guys out. So see you later.